Okay, so first I want to show you just how rich the bone broth looks. And as you can tell, there's lots of stuff in it. I've got onion skins, garlic, all the things that we put in. Hi guys, welcome back to the kitchen. Today I am going to show you how I make my chicken feet bone broth. This takes, it can really go anywhere from about 24 hours to 48 hours depending on how long you want to let your bones and the skin and all the good things, in my case my chicken feet, how long do you want those to be going in your roaster pan. Now some people will do this in the Instapot. I do it in my 22 quart big roaster pot. The last time I did this, I got over 2 gallons, and that was after I defatted the chicken stock. I like to defat it, and so this is kind of a lengthy process. So I'm going to be cooking my chicken feet plus any bones, skin, cartilage that I have saved from chicken, you know, like if I roasted a chicken or if I took chicken off the bone, I take all that, put it in a freezer bag, and I just collect and put it in the freezer. And when I have enough, I know it's time to go get some chicken feet, because that's going to be the really rich added part of my bone broth. And so what I have, I also take all of my onion skins, garlic skins, I have celery, carrots, pepper pieces, all those kinds of things, and I put it in here because you're going to strain all of this when it gets done. The first thing that I'm going to put in here is one of my freezer bags full of, and this is frozen for the most part. This also has, I have, like, can you see that? Lemons. I put all the things in here. This is onion skins. Onion skins are supposed to have a lot of really good properties for you. So don't shy away from those when you're doing bone broth. They're all going to get strained. It's going to heat up. So if you're worried about anything, those are some carrots. And I've already put celery in there. And let me show you my beautiful figs. I got figs on the brain. My beautiful, that is my oregano. So I'm going to put some oregano in there. And that is some thyme. You got any thyme? And some rosemary. I think rosemary smells amazing. So, and I don't take them off. I'm just putting them in here like so. So you can see this is getting full with all of this. And I haven't even decided to put in any of my spices yet. I have some certain spices I always like to use. I had dehydrated some of my peppers, and this is what I had left, and I just filled up a whole new thing of the green ones, so I want to finish this off, so I'm just going to throw these in here. And that's roasted red and bell pepper. You may think you're just throwing the whole kitchen sink in there, and you might be right. Alright, so one of the next things that I like to put in here, I use some white pepper. This is a tablespoon. I'm not going to use a tablespoon. I'll probably do half of a tablespoon of some white pepper. And the reason I like to use the white pepper is because when you use the apple cider vinegar, if any of you ever like hot and sour soup, it's it's how it complements. That white pepper and the apple cider vinegar have a nice complement to one another. And a lot of times That's what you taste in that. And so I've got that, and yes, this is just, it's not Bragg's, but it is one that's raw and unfiltered. Yes, I know it's gonna cook, but this is just how I make my chicken soup. I mean, not my chicken soup, but my chicken bone broth. Turmeric, okay, so I like to go heavy on the turmeric. So I'm gonna put a whole tablespoon of turmeric in here. Sorry if that was loud. And to activate turmeric, you need black pepper. So, I gotta find mine. Here it is. So I'm gonna get my black pepper, grind it in here, like this. And then, my next spice, I'm gonna put a little bit of my favorite Farmhouse Tuscan, and I'm gonna put about a tablespoon of that as well. Yes, I already put my own spices, but I want this to be really flavorful. And if you've noticed, what have I not put in here? Dun, 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 dun. Do you know? I have not yet put some salt in here. Hey, kitty. I am gonna put some salt, but I don't wanna over salt because you can always salt later. So I'm gonna do, I guess it's about half of a tablespoon. Now, if you want to put more salt in, you can. Boy, you're in a mood, aren't you, kitty? Do y'all hear him? But I'd rather add it later. I try to watch how much salt I'm taking in. Hold on 1 second, please. There you go, cat. Go. There you go. Sorry about that. He gets fed downstairs and that's where he wanted to go. All right, so I have all this stuff going, and now I know what you're all waiting for. The chicken feet. And yes, when this all gets done, it looks like a witch's brew. Or I think it does, because it's got their little toes. But I have to say, these are clean. At the farm I get these from, at the Kind Shepherd farm, there's actually skin that has to be removed. So wherever you get that, you need to ask, did they already remove the skin? Because if not, you will have to do that. At this farm, they remove it when they process the chickens, so I don't have to worry about that. But, I mean, this is what a chicken foot, hold on. I'm trying to see if you can sit. That's what a chicken foot looks like, okay? Now this one is a processed bird, it's not alive, but I have 10 chickens, and I promise you, I've had them curl their little feet around my hands. That's what they look like. And this is extremely clean. So that is, and if you can see, you have your bone and the cartilage. So there's bone here, cartilage here, plus you have the cartilage of the nails and in the little toes. I know I'm not trying to gross you out. I'm just telling you why this makes such a good bone broth, because collagen does so much for us. And a lot of you may like a lot of the products out there, supplements and things where you can put that collagen stuff in your coffee or make little drinks and stuff. And I'm gonna be real honest here with you, I can't stand it. I've tried, I can't stand it. It's weird. It tastes like I put gelatin or something in my coffee. I don't like it. So, but if you do, and that's what you want to do, great. But honestly, you can do this for a whole lot cheaper. These chicken feet cost me $20 for these packs that I got, okay? Last time when I did this, it made 2 gallons of bone broth, which I then canned. And I mean, that right there, I couldn't have bought that much. I think I ended up with 8 quarts of bone broth, plus I still had, I think I had half a gallon or close to that was for my dogs as a pour over on their kibble. because it's good for them. And so if I were to go buy 8 quarts of bone broth, I would have paid more than I paid for my chicken feet, if you can find it available. And if I were to buy one of those supplements, I would have paid far more than that. So I get the best of both worlds. So don't poo-poo chicken feet. And honestly, I raise chickens. I love my chickens, but my chickens will not live forever, and I know that. I try to give them the best life that I can while I have them. But I don't know if I'll be real honest. I don't know if I'll be able to eat my chickens, because especially not my first ones. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't been faced with that yet, but that's not to say I would never eat chickens. Alright, so I put another gallon of water in, and I am going to put just a splash of some lemon juice just to add a little brightness to it. And let me get something to stir this with. And because some of this is frozen, I'm just starting right now with the 2 gallons. I will probably add a little bit more water as this gets happy. So you may think that this looks like something, you know, as I said, a witch's brew. To me, it reminds me like when we were kids and we make mud pies or something like that. You just kind of throw everything in here. But I promise you, this makes such a delicious and rich bone broth that is so nourishing to your body. All right, so next I'm just going to plug in my my roaster pan here, and I'm going to turn it on 250 degrees. It is almost 6:30 p.m. So I foresee this going probably 18 to 20 hours. Once I get to the 18 to 20 hour part, then I will turn it off. I'll allow it to cool down, and then I will put it in gallon-size jars. I think this is day 2.5 or something like that with our chicken bone broth, where we had our chicken feet that we got at the Marietta Market from Kind Shepherd Farms. And I have cooked that in my slow roaster. I cooked it for about 36 hours. I turned it off this morning to allow it to cool down, because I'm going to be putting the cool broth, after I get all the goodies out of it, strained out of it. I'm going to be putting them in these gallon-sized jars. I have 2 of them. I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to refrigerate them for 24 hours so that all the fat will come to the top. You'll have a nice little cap of fat, which you can go and take out and defat your bone broth. I prefer to do it that way. Okay, so first I want to show you just how rich the bone broth looks. And as you can tell, there's lots of stuff in it. I've got onion skins, garlic, all the things that we put in. And I have to get that out. So I have a colander and a bowl in my sink. And so I'm going to be kind of fishing them out with a slotted spoon to try to get out as much of that as I can before I try lifting this up and pouring it. And so here goes nothing. Alright guys, this is 24 hours for the bone broth. Whew, that's hot. So I just wanted to show you, so you can see those chicken feet. Oops, you see them? I told y'all it was going to look like a witch's brew. See? But can you see how gelatinous. I really don't know if that's a word. I just always heard Andrew Zimmer say it. So I'm going to go with it. But that's from all of the cartilage in those feet that are in here. I am going to, this was 24 hours. I'm going to let this go overnight again. And then in the morning, I'll turn it off, allow it to cool. And once it's cool, I'll put it in my gallon jars and I'll put it in the refrigerator so I can defat it. And I'll show you how to go through and do all of that tomorrow. So stay tuned. Good morning, guys. So this has been cooking about 36 hours. I'm fixing to turn it off. It's got to cool off. We'll go ahead and turn that off. Show you what it looks like. Ooh, that looks hot. Now that is going to be some really good bone broth. So when it cools down, I'll put it in my big gallon jars, and I'll show you that, how I strain it. And then I'll just let it, cool in the refrigerator, probably about 24 hours. And I'll get the fat off. And then once I defat it, then I can put it in. I'll usually do these in quart-sized jars. And I'll pressure can those. So stay tuned. So you just want to get all this big stuff out. And at first it's easy. And then it's the little pieces. This is why I told you early on, I wasn't rough chopping or chopping things to be real small, because it makes it more difficult to get out of the bone broth. And why do that if you don't have to? See, because I kept the carrots whole and I had celery, you know, all that, I can just reach in and get this stuff out. So I'm going to finish getting this stuff out, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I finish. Okay guys, I'm kind of getting to the place where I've gotten all or most of the big stuff I can with my slotted spoon. So here in the sink, I have a colander and I have a big metal mixing bowl underneath. And so what I'm going to try to do is pour this into here, and I have another metal bowl because I kind of, there'll be stuff at the bottom and stuff, so. And you can't pour all of it. Because it just floats up. Oh, and I wanted to show you. So when you cook the chicken feet, this is kind of what it looks like when it's left. So that's why I said I'm showing it to you so you don't get freaked out, creeped out. And if you can tell, most of the nails come off. I don't know if you can see that. And so that's another reason you want to strain this. And the second strain, we'll use cheesecloth or a towel, tea towel, something like that. Okay, so I got this one. I have cleaned everything out. I still have the one bowl has the stock in it, but I cleaned it out here. I washed everything out, and I poured the stock that was in this smaller bowl first back into the big roaster pan here. And I have a clean tea towel. And you have to realize, don't like use a favorite one that maybe has a pattern or something on it. You can get these at Walmart really cheap. This one's actually, I've cut it in half because honestly, yes, you could wash it out. I throw it away because I live on a septic system, and I'm a little concerned about washing that out in my wash machine and stuff like that. You want to be careful about fats and stuff like that if you have septic systems. So I'd rather just, when I get done with it, throw it away. And that may not be the best for conservation, but it's the best for my septic system that I had to replace about 12 years ago. And if you've ever had to do that, you would agree with me. It's very expensive. So the main thing, the reason I'm putting this tea towel is because it has all the spices and things like that, and I just don't need that getting in the jars. So you have to try to, this honestly, this is the worst part of making bone broth. Okay, so I got it out of there, and now all I'm gonna do is kind of lift this up, and I'm going to let it drain. And that's what you kind of have to do until it drains. And then once it drains, this one will be good to put in my jar. And I'm trying to remember, I think I did use a funnel. I have a metal funnel I believe I used for this, because you don't have to worry so much if you're going to put it in the refrigerator about, you know, if fat gets on the lip of those jars, because you're not canning in those jars. Also, I want to say, if you don't have a pressure canner but you're interested in making your own bone broth, you can freeze it. You can freeze it in smaller portions. You also can keep it in the refrigerator for a little while if you want to make it for your animals, like as a pour over for their food. It is very healthy and nutritious for them, but this is also another reason why you would want to defat it. Your animals don't need all that excess fat. You would also want to read up on what maybe spices and things you put on there. There's some things that are good for us that may not be good for animals. So that would be something you would want to do your own research on. But when I get to about this point, like it's just barely coming out, I'm going to grab my corners. Oops. I'm trying to keep it over the bowl, I can't see. Yeah. And just by doing that, you're going to get it to move out faster. And what I do when I get through, you can actually wring this out, is I will try to get all of the herbs and things that spices, whatever might be stuck in the cheesecloth. I kind of just try to dump that off into the trash, and then I just keep going with this process. My hands are clean, by the way. I washed them. And this was another reason why you want it to cool down, because if you did this when you first finished, it would be too hot. I mean, it's still warm, and you know, it's midday. So, but by doing this, I'm going to get all of that out, and you're going to have really a pretty broth. I will say also doing this will help defat it, but you still will get that fat. You just will. This has a lot of, when you have all that skin and cartilage and all, you're just going to have it. Okay. Alright, I think that's pretty good, so I'm just going to sit it over here, get it out of my way, so I can show you how I get that out of my way. I got my little towel here. I had to move my trash can over here. Let me get my metal funnel. this is I have a metal one, and so I'm gonna put it on, and I already washed the jars, my glass jars. Let's see, yep. And so now, see how pretty that is? So now I'm just gonna put this in here. I'm thinking, last time I did this, I got 2 gallon size and I think a little bit extra. So we'll see with this one. Uh-oh, some of it spilled over. Okay, so that's about half a gallon. I bet I'll end up getting about the 2 gallons then. So then I'll set this to the side. Let me show you. So you can see how rich that is. I've never pulled that out of a box from the store, ever. And it smells amazing. So I'm gonna set this over to the side, and I'm gonna finish doing what I just showed you with the rest of the broth, and then I'll show you the 2 jars when I get done. 2 full gallons, and then these are 1.5 pints size jars. And then this one, and this one looks a lot lighter because it probably had about 1/3 of the jar. And what I did was I added distilled water in it and kind of mixed it up, and this will actually be pour over for my dogs. For matter of fact, they'll have that tomorrow on their morning kibble.